We can send this out to people. Um, I'd like to welcome everybody to our webinar, which we actually have two titles for today. We're calling it Debating Yourself and Who's Winning. And the reason for that is that many of you may not, may be from overseas, but right here in the States, we've been having these presidential debates, and tonight's the vice presidential debate. But taking it out of the realm of politics, I find that most of us, if we don't have anyone to talk to and we keep talking to ourselves, we keep debating ourselves on what should we do and what's our next step in business, or what should we really do. And if you debate yourself long enough, you're going to lose. So I'm always of the mind that when you're working online or in any business, could be an offline business, online business, it doesn't matter. You need to you need feedback from other people. You need to see what other people's thinking is on a topic so that you're not always really talking to yourself and saying, should I do this? Or, well, I tried that and it failed, so maybe I should try this. So we're going to put all of this debating aside for today and tell you really the best way I know of to make money online. And before I get to that, I want to tell you a story about. Oh, first of all, I forgot to introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jane Mark, and I'm the president of So Cool Inc. So now we know exactly who I am, so let's go on. You can always read about me and all these about who, or who about, what's us, or whatever. But Frank Sousa, many of you know him. He is the co-developer of Traffic Geyser, and he's been online for many, many years. Um, he's also the top recruiter at So Cool. So he called me I guess about 2 weeks ago, and he asked me a very odd question. At least I thought it was very odd. He said, how do you use lists online? Now, for somebody who's made a heck of a lot of money online like Frank and developed one of the best known programs online, I'm scratching my head and saying, how is this possible that Frank Sousa does not really know how to use lists? But after I talked to him for a while, I realized that many people, they know that there's something that everyone says on the net, which is you need to have a list to succeed online, right? Or the money's in the list, or all of those things that I'm sure you've heard dozens and dozens and dozens of times. But it's really not enough to know that you have to have a list or many lists, or access rather to many lists in order to make money online. You need to know what to do with them, because let's put it this way, not all lists are created equal. So the reason I really wanted to do this webinar is because I am dedicated, a believer in lists. Even though it's tougher now to get email through when you send on a list, it is still the most powerful way to connect with people online. And it's not even online anymore because people are going onto their phones and their iPads and all of that stuff and checking their email all the time. If you know how to use lists properly, let's say, or correctly, or to your advantage, you really can make a lot of money online. In fact, I often say to Phil, you could take away everything I own in the world. My house, the loft I live in New York. You can't take away my dog. That would probably put me away. But you could take away every possession that I own. And I would just, my bank account, no money in the bank, whatever. And I still have the most important thing to get back on my feet online, and that's lists. Lists that I own, but not only that I own, other people's lists as well. So now I'm going to ask you guys a question. What is the most important thing you can do when you use a list? And what I'm looking for here is just a one-word answer. So I want you to just think about that for a minute and then pop some answers up on in the chat box for Phil. Don't be shy, and you can't make a mistake here because there are a lot of uses for lists. But I have one in mind that is particularly the most important thing that you could do. And when Frank Sousa and I were talking about how to use lists effectively, this was the one word that kept coming up over and over again. So do I have anybody who's going to give it a stab? What's the one thing you need to do? The one most important thing you need to do. There's more than one thing you need to do on lists. What was in there? Branding. That's an important issue, and we're going to get to that. It's not the one I had in mind, but it is important, and yes, be honest. I love that. Go ahead. Nourish and educate. Absolutely. These are great answers, guys. All of them are really, really, really important. And they're all going to come in under this one heading that I'm going to give you. Because I stumped you. I don't often stump you guys, but I stumped you today. The word that I had in mind is consistency. Now, all of what you guys just said, branding and nourishing and being honest, all come under that rubric. But when I say you need to be consistent in the way you use lists, it is because you want to make sure that your emails that you send out are, to the best of your knowledge, honest. So that's a great one. You want to make sure that when you're sending out emails, that if somebody follows up on that email with you, that yes, you are going to be honest. But there's something even more basic than all of those things. And that is, if you have your own list, or even you're using other people's lists, both of which are fine. Better to have your own list, but many of us use other people's lists as well. You want to be very consistent. And here's what I mean by that. Some people mail early in the morning. Some people mail when they come home from work. Some people swear that noon every single day is the absolute best time when they get their best results. You know what? All of that is BS, pardon my French. The reason that you get a result at 5:30 in the morning or 8:30 at night or 12 in the afternoon is because your list gets to know and kind of gets into a pattern, and they expect to see your emails at a certain time. Now, if you're all over the place, hilly-billy, willy-nilly, you're not going to get as big an audience, let's put it that way, as you would if you're consistent in the way you mail to your list. So most people don't even think about that. They do these split tests and they do all these things to try to figure out the exact hour of the exact day of the exact month at which time they are going to absolutely, instead of pulling in $500, pull in $510. It's really that you've trained your lists by your actions to look for certain things. Sometimes it's that they look for the way you phrase your subject lines because they know that that's you sending your emails. By the way, I'm going to digress for a minute because over the years, I've had people send me emails that are purportedly signed by me, right? And they've just, hijacked my name and sent out an email and says, Jane Mark, I'm Jane Mark, and I got to tell you, this is the best program since sliced bread. And I look at this email, and any of them that come to me, and I say, my list got to know this is not from me, because that's why they're sending it back to me to ask me. Why? Because if those of you who are observant will know that I sign my emails in a certain way. It's like a habit that I've gotten into. So if somebody signs an email from me that says, to your success, or sincerely, Jane Mark, you know off the bat that that's not coming from me, because I am very consistent, not in necessarily in what I'm promoting or what I'm doing any particular day. But you can be sure that unless I'm doing a very short, like, email for So Cool or Yakima where I don't have room to sign my name, you will see that I sign my name in the exact same way. It says, Jane, go get 'em, right? Spelled wrong. Somebody pointed out to me that my go get 'em when I sign my emails is spelled wrong. Well, that's typical me. But it says, go get 'em, Jane. And then it says Jane Mark So Cooling. Now, I don't even think about that when I type an email. It's second nature to me. But if you think about it, my lists have seen that signature in my emails for, I don't know, 100 years. No, 12 years. It's going on 13 years on the net. So when somebody tries to hijack my style or my signature or whatever, they that's when I get these emails is this you, Jane? Are you promoting this program? And of course, usually I'm not. Consistency, and somebody mentioned the word branding. Well, that's as much of a brand as anything else that you do when you send out an email. The reason I'm always cautioning people that when they join a program and they go into the members area of that program and they look for those canned ads, which everybody has in their sites because they want to give people, particularly newbies online, they want to give you some beginning point to know how to promote the site and what you want to say about the site. But when I see a canned ad, I very rarely pay much attention to it because I know that that person didn't give that ad any personality of their own. And that is, whoever mentioned branding, that is that simple kind of thing. How you sign your name, the way you phrase your sentences is branding. And people either they get to like you and know you and trust you, or they hate what you're saying. Both can be true. But and I'm sure you've all read, very harsh emails on the net. There are some marketers who really go after your jugular, which it doesn't. I'm not receptive to those kinds of messages, but many people are. So those people who have made their own style, whether it's really harsh, telling you you're an idiot and you don't know what you're doing and all that kind of stuff, some people relate to that, and people usually build the lists of people who actually like their style, because otherwise they don't stay on the list for very long if they don't really like the way you're presenting yourself. So consistency in the time of the day that you mail, if you can do it, you will find that you get better results that way. Consistency in the way you brand yourself, even if that's as simple as signing your name the same way. By the way, do not send out an email without your name on it. I don't understand that. Why in the world would somebody buy from somebody if they won't even tell them their name? I never get that. I don't know if many of you may have tried or used our So Cool Solo ad service, which lets you put in your own ad, but then I go and reformat it and correct some of the lines if they're really, sort of not stringing right together. So I do a lot of work with the people who order our solo ads. But the one thing that I see, and I think it's one of the biggest mistakes you can make online, so I add their name. They may not know this, but I add their name at the end of the email because people do not relate to anonymous emails. I mean, think about yourself. Would you want to buy something from somebody who says, I just made a lot of money at XYZ site, right? But, and I suggest that you just buy it from me, and I'm not going to give you my name. This is not a good idea, guys. Sign your name. It's very simple. And I don't understand the need not to sign your name. So, okay, so far we've talked about branding the way you sign your name, sending to your list at a particular time of day so that they get used to seeing your emails at a particular time of day, and sign your name so they know who you are. Probably more important than anything I just said is you may have your own list, so then you're sending to your own list at the time that you usually send. But we all use other people's lists, right? I use a ton of other people's lists. I have my own list. We have 278 lists, believe it or not, and a lot of people on them, 550,000 people. But no matter how many people you have on your own list, at some point that list becomes stagnant and stale unless you keep adding to it. So I am always looking to join other people's lists and mail to those lists. But when I do, I don't miss a day. So, in other words, let me tell you what I mean. If you've bought into some list and you've paid, let's say, $197 a year to mail to that list, and it lets you mail to X number of people, no matter what that is, on every 3 days, then that's what you should be doing. You should be mailing to X number of people every 3 days. If they let you mail daily, mail daily. If they let you mail once a week, it doesn't matter what the time frame is. You want to be consistent on mailing to other people's lists so that you continually, nobody's lists are that big that eventually those people, they get, even on other people's lists, they get to know who you are if you are consistent in your mailing. And that's one of the main things Frank Sousa and I were talking about, is the fact that you join a list and then you forget that you joined it, or you mail once and then 2 weeks later it occurs to you that you could have mailed 3 times in between that. You really need to set up like an Excel spreadsheet or whatever way tickles your memory to know when you should mail to what list, and you should do it every single time you are able to mail to somebody else's list. You should be on it and you should be doing it. It really doesn't take that long. I mean, believe me, I belong to many lists, and logging in, and it's provided you have your email all set to go and whatever. It does not take a great amount of time, or maybe you could pay somebody a small amount of money to do your mailings to other people's lists for you, but you should be doing it regularly. Now, when you mail to other people's lists, you do not want to mail an affiliate link to them, because that gives you one shot at the person, right? You mail out your affiliate link, either they see it and they join, or they completely ignore it, and end of story. You haven't brought your business forward. You haven't moved it forward. You haven't grown your own list, right? So, what do you want to send out to other people's lists? You want to send out something that will get them on your list. Now, if you own your own programs, that's very easy, right? You send out your own program, and that, in our case, all of our programs have admin mailers. So whether I'm advertising Free Ad Depot or SoCool or Yakima, it doesn't matter. Almost 100% of what I am mailing to other people's lists are one of my own lists, so that we call it really stealing other people's members. I hate to put it in those stark terms, but what I want to do every single time I mail is to take some new member from one of the lists that I'm mailing to and get them on my own list. Because they may not be interested in the particular offer that I sent out on any particular day. But that doesn't mean that over time there won't be some offer that I make to my own list that somebody will be interested in. So it's very hard to do. I know it's very hard to resist the temptation. Something launches and you have to get it out, and you get it out all over the net, right, to other people's lists, not just your own list. And all you've done is made perhaps one contact, as opposed to getting that person on your list so that you can contact them over and over and over again. So that's a mistake a lot of people make, is to just simply send out an affiliate program to other people's lists instead of getting them on their own list. So now we can stop and you can say to me, but Jane, I don't have my own list. Yes, you do, guys. All of you. I know practically everyone who's on the phone call here. You all belong to SoCool, or 90% of you belong to SoCool. You all belong to Yakima, because if you belong to SoCool, you belong to Yakima. You do have your own list, even if you haven't as yet set up, say, an AWeber account or GetResponse or one of the bigger organizations, which you should do. But even if you don't have your own list right now, you can use SoCool to build your own list, or use Yakima to build your own list. And this is not a webinar on SoCool or Yakima, so I'm not going to go into how you do that. But most of you know that you can build a list at SoCool, and if you're an upgraded member, you can email that list every 3 days. And let me stress again, for those of you who are upgraded members at SoCool, you should absolutely be contacting your list members, which are your trackers, every 3 days. And I mean without fail, every 3 days. And I said that to Frank because Frank is one of our biggest recruiters, right, at SoCool. Most of you have seen his name right at the top of the SoCool stars. He has a huge list. He wasn't using it. So you can bet we had a few words about that. I said, Frank, you've got 1,600,000 people, on your list. Mail to them. Even if it's only to say, hello, I'm doing this today, or, I went on a great trip, or whatever it is that you want to say. You don't always have to send out an ad, but you should be contacting your list every day. Now, having said that, is it better to have your own list? Yes, it really is. And you can do that by setting up a list at AWeber, which, oh, Phil, I forgot to put the follow along link. Okay. Wait a minute, I forgot, guys. We do have a follow along link so that you can know some of the links that I'm talking about here. But if you certainly at some point need to set up your own list so that every single one of your mailings, outside mailings, now I'm talking to about other people's lists, every time you mail to other people's lists, you have some way to get them on your own list. And on this follow along link, which, can you make it show on the screen, or I have to make it show. Wait a minute, guys. 1 second. Let me find this follow along link and put it up so you can see it. Oops. I gotta change sides here so I can get it up here. All right. Okay, so this is, sorry, I meant to put this up a little earlier, but this is just bullet points on what we've been talking about. And I'm going to get back to size doesn't always matter, which is true. But you really need to have, if you don't already have an Aweber account or a GetResponse, or we talked about the fact that you could really start to build a list at SoCal. And then when you do have an Aweber account or GetResponse, those are the two I use. Some of you may use other list builders, but these are certainly very good ones. But you can start at SoCal. Start to build a list when you do have your own account at Aweber, which is not expensive. It's like $19.95 a month. This is not a big expenditure. And GetResponse, I don't really know because Phil set that up, but it's also about the same price. But until you do have your own list set up or your own website where you can build a list, start with SoCal. You can also read this later. It's called Damn Smart Mail. This is how I got started online. I bought a script from Mr. Phil Baston, who's now my partner, but wasn't then. And I started a safe list, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. And I built this list over time until now. I think that particular one is it's called Online Detective Safe List, and it's got about 23,000 members. And when I went into business with Phil, I sort of stopped promoting that, and we built other lists. But 23,000 people is a lot of members. So this is something that's relatively inexpensive. I think it's $150. We actually host it for you, so it's $150 every 3 months. So say 6 months. 6 months. So it's $300 a year to host your own list. And if you want a sales page, it's like a one-time fee, and Phil does it for you. It's like $497. You can have your own sales page. You can have your own list. It has a mailing, an admin mailing, and that's all you need. If you have an admin mailer, you're in control of a list, and you can build it as big as you want. So take a look at that later for those of you who have the adventuresome spirit and says, I want my own list. This is our script. It's actually an old script, but it doesn't matter because you can build a list with it, and the mailings on it are great. So I use Damn Smart Mail all the time. Now, I want to backtrack because I missed something back here. Let me see if I can pop this up. Okay, so everybody comes and says goes and mails on other people's lists. But most of the time, people do not know what kind of list they're mailing to, which makes me absolutely crazy, right? Okay. People go to lists and they say, oh, I just joined this safe list. Did you? I don't know if you did or not, because there's a big difference between a safe list and a contact list. And wherever possible, you want to join a contact list. And what do I mean by this? I mean that safe lists are a giveaway, and we run them. I mean, that's what I own, Online Detective Safe List, right? But it doesn't matter. The members are joining a safe list. I'm still the owner. I'm developing the admin, which are contact addresses. So when you join a list, if they ask you for one email address that you have to verify, and nothing else, one email address, that's a contact list, because not everybody tells you if they're a contact list. Phil and I do. We say you're mailing to contact members, but many people don't say anything. If you see that when you join a list, it asks you for a contact address and a second email, a list address, that means you are joining a safe list. Nothing wrong with that, but it gets far fewer results than a contact list. And the reason is because most people know that if they're putting in a list address, they put in some real throwaway address, which every month they log into and just hit the delete button. So you always want to look for, if they don't say outright on their sales page that you are joining a contact mailer, then when you join, your antenna should go up if you see that you have to add both a contact address and verify it, and then verify a list email. Now, do I use SafeList? Yes, I do. But do I know that I am going to get an itsy response compared to a contact list? Yes. So that's just something that people don't often understand. And they always say, oh, I joined List Joe, and I joined the safe list. No, you didn't. List Joe is not a safe list. It's a contact list. Or I'm using your safe list, Free Ad Depot. No, you're not. You're using our contact list, Free Ad Depot, because your mailings are going to the sign-up address of the person who signed up to FAD or List Joe or many of the other lists that you know on the net. All of our lists, unless they're specifically marked as a safe list, are contact lists. And it makes a difference in the results that you get. Now, so we know now that you got to look for contact lists, but size is not always the question. Size does not always matter. I mean, it's great if you're joining a list that's already built and it's very big, because you get to keep reaching different audiences. And again, remember, you're mailing to them to suck them onto your own list. But I get some of my best results from new people I meet on the net who have just launched a site, and they may have as few as 90 people on their list. Or as it grows a little bit, or perhaps I'm promoting for them, or one of their friends is, and it gets to be up in the 700 to 1,000 range, and people look and say, oh boy, that's a very small list. You know what? Sometimes you get your most results, your best results, I should say. That was not exactly English. You get your best results from some of the smaller, newer lists on the line, because they may have a different audience that you haven't already reached. So keep your eyes trained when I send out things like, say, on SoCal, because I often work with our SoCal founders who end up usually starting their own list, because everybody eventually comes to the realization that they need to have their own list and their own script that they either buy from somebody or that they develop themselves. And when they do, I am always eager to help them and to start to promote that list, because I know that they have first gone to all of their own contacts and gotten them on that list, and I may know none of them, which means that when I'm promoting for them, or when I'm promoting something on their list, that I'm reaching people that I've never reached before. So don't snub your nose at, sometimes you go to a site and it says membership level 395 or membership level 789. I never turn up my nose at that and say, oh, that's just too small. No, it's not. And now, you wouldn't expect to pay a huge amount of money to upgrade on a list like that until it's grown a little. But if they're asking you to upgrade for $10 a month, give it a try. Or if they've got a lifetime membership of $67 or even $97, you never know on the net who's going to become the next really big marketer and develop something really fabulous. It is so worth the effort to use some of these smaller lists. Now, having said that, I also like to go to lists that are large and that I know that I'm always probably going to get at least 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 sign-ups to my own list if I'm going to do a mailing or even make us a sale if it's one of our own programs. But size doesn't always matter, and everybody gets very impressed by size, and so do I. But we got to always step back just a little bit and realize that many people online who make money online do not have lists of thousands of people. They have lists that sometimes you can have a list of 100 buyers. And you never need to go beyond that, because if they are buyers and you have a product that interests them, then they will buy from you and you will make money all the time. So don't, when we deal with lists and list building and list mailing, broaden your perspective. Try new lists. And yes, occasionally you're going to join a list and maybe you spend $60 or $40, or you tried it for a couple of months or 3 months. Don't try something for a month, because that's ridiculous. It's not enough time to test your ads, which we're going to get to in a minute. But give a new list, and if you're a monthly member, 2 months, 3 months to develop, and for you to develop some branding, as we were talking about in the beginning, on that list before you jump ship and say, this is terrible, I'm not getting any results. Usually, I love that. That is I get more emails that say, I'm not getting any results. It must be the list's fault. 9 times out of 10. I mean, once in a while you get on a list and it goes down, or your emails did not go through. That happens. There are glitches on lists. So anyone mailing tells you zero, zip, nada. But usually if you're not getting results online, it is something you are doing, not something a list is doing. Which brings me to really one of the other things that's really important to do, and that is to test your ads. And I'm not talking about doing the very sophisticated tests, which many marketers do. They test not only the subject line, they test the first paragraph, and then they test the last paragraph, and I don't know, they get into so many, they present their results, and by the time they finish, my eyes have glazed over, and I said, could we just please get to the bottom line here? So I don't get into, I'm not talking about sophisticated tests, though I know those have a place online. I'm talking about a simple thing. Put a tracker in your link, in your email. And that somewhere, I think Phil put in, I use Bitly. I mean, that's very simply. I find it very easy to follow them, set them up, and whatever. More sophisticated people, like my partner Phil, uses LinkTrack, and we put that in for you, because you get much more information out of LinkTrack than you do out of Bitly. But I'm busy. I'm doing a lot of things at one time. So many times I just set up a Bitly link, which is really easy to do. And I go back and look at the clicks that I've gotten on a particular ad that I've sent out. That's very important, because when I say that most of the time it's not the list you are on, it's you. you really find out that what you thought was just the best subject line in the world, and believe me, this happens to me all the time. I just think I came up with the most clever line in the whole world. And what happens? It falls dead on its face, because where I might have thought I knew what I was talking about, and it was very obvious to everyone, so they had to open that email. It didn't make any sense to obviously to the people I was sending it to, and they didn't open it and they didn't click on the link. So how do you know if you're doing something right or wrong if you never test what you're doing? You have to test what you're doing. You have to test it in submitters. You should put in a tracker in submitters. You have to test it on links. You should even test it on, if you're posting to Facebook and you want to see if that's where your result is coming from, put a tracker in. It's very, very important. So we went over that basically that you want to be consistent in the way that you mail to your list members or other people's lists. You want to make sure that overall and for the most part you're joining contact lists, not safe lists. You want to be consistent with the way you brand yourself. We talked about that. You want to mail at the time the list says you can mail. If it's every 3 days, mail every 3 days. If it's every day, mail that. That's unusual, though ListVolta, which many of you know, you can mail, I think, twice a day. Or maybe more, every 12 hours. Oh, that's twice a day, yes. If it's once a week, like TAD, one of our lists, Target Ads Depot, great list. You don't have to earn credits. They just pop into your account. You can mail to 5,000 people. I would never miss a chance to mail to 5,000 people. So set up a tickler. Make sure you have some way to know what lists you are supposed to mail to on a particular day, and test your subject lines. Now, if you're mailing to other people's lists, we talked about you want to send them to a capture page. So that it's easy to set up a capture page if you have an Aweber account or GetResponse. SoCool, you don't need a capture page because they're going right to sign up under you, and you can reach them if you're upgraded. This is the least expensive advertising on the net. It's $197 a year to be a silver member, and you can build a list like Frank did of 16,000 people and email them every 3 days. I told somebody this morning. Who was I talking to? I was talking to Jonah from ListJoe. And I said, Jonah, you could take away everything I have. We talked about that before. But you can't. If SoCool disappeared, which is, I said, forget it. Because I know that most of you know that ListJoe went down for a while, that big deal, the DOS attack, the data got, oh my God, don't even ask. It's a nightmare. And I was commiserating with Jonah because I said, I know how you feel. If SoCool went down permanently, I mean, not just for a minute when a server goes down, I said, I think I would jump out the window. So this is a very inexpensive way. And you don't need a capture page. But for the other, if you're Aweber or you've set up a GetResponse page, and Phil, I think you said, I don't think he put it on here, but when we send this as a recording, there are places you can go that will develop capture pages for you very inexpensively. But you want, yeah, when we send out the recording, we'll put the link in there so that you can have a place. But you want to send out a capture page because we're talking about now mailing to other people's lists, and you want to get them on your page. So you need a capture page, which should be sharp and shiny, short, sharp, and shiny. Don't go into a whole long Megillah, this, that, and the other. You want to get them on your list. How are you going to get them on your list? You're going to offer them something for free, right? You're going to offer them something for free. You can find so many really good information products, reports that you can offer for free. If you're a SoCool member, you can offer SOKINs and give them SOKINs if they join your list, because it's very easy to accumulate SOKINs at SoCool. But put a bribe on your capture page. Let's just put it that simply. Put a bribe on your capture page so that people have a reason to join your list. That really helps a lot. Now, I want to talk to you about another aspect of list building. And yes, I'm going to talk about our all new and improved, new and updated all your lists in one place. If you have purchased all your, this is something I wrote about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So it has every single list in it. Not everyone, but many, 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 many of the lists that I use. What? Oh, Phyllis pointing out that if I click on it, it actually goes to the page. It's called version 2.0. Anyway, what this is, it's a list of the lists that I use, but it's much more than that. In it, I tell you how many members are on a particular list, who owns the list, whether it's a contact or a safe list. I give the list a rating. That's obviously a personal rating based on my own experience of the list, but I do rate the list. And I give you the cost, how much it costs to join. Almost all of them are free to join, but free doesn't do you any good. So eventually you need to upgrade in all these lists. Otherwise, you're just really spinning your wheels. But I give you how much it costs, whether there's a monthly one available or a lifetime membership, and all the in a very short space. It's not like I'm writing a book on each list, but we give you all of the pertinent information on a list so that you can make judgments. What seems to suit you the best? Is it a large size, or is it the cost, or whatever? So you'll have the information on the list. Now, since I wrote it 5 years ago, obviously there are a lot of lists that have come online since that time, and some have disappeared. One thing, somebody asked me the other day, what do you do when a business disappears? That happens a lot online. And I said to him, stick with us. We have never had a site disappear in 13 years. We have every single one of the sites we have ever launched on the net. It is up and running. And if you joined it 13 years ago, you still have an account there. But we decided that we really needed to update this book, which has been a very popular seller around the net, because it takes a lot of time to compile all this information and put it in one place, which is why it's called All Your Lists in One Place. If you already own it, you log into the members area, you have a new download link, which has many of the old links, like our lists that have been around for many, many years, but we have added a lot of new list in there. And the reason having this is so important is not just for your own use. Many of you I know build downlines, you join programs, and you have people who count on you and take, when you recommend something to them, they join it, which is just great. But what happens when they come to you and say, okay, what do I do now? I joined this. I'm new to the net. I really don't know what to do next or where to go. Well, if you own this ebook, which is $67 one time, it's not a big deal. If you don't own it, buy it. I'm telling you, it is the best thing that I have written on the net. Bar none, it really is. And I've written quite a few things on the net. You give this to people on your list, or people who you're trying to help so that they can succeed, so that they have a place to start, because they need a place to mail to too, and they will start to join these lists. And if you buy this and go in the members area, you'll see that you can, all of the lists that are in this book, you can change the IDs. We have what do we call it? List IDs. Well, yeah, we call it list IDs. And you can change the list IDs to your own. So when you send out all your lists in one place to your own list members or your own downlines, they will not only will you get a commission because you get paid 50% if they buy the book, but you also get the signups under you in those lists that you belong to because you've changed your IDs in the members area. So it's like online branding. It's very easy. You just join the list. You probably belong to many of them right away. So you just put your ID in. So it provides you with a vehicle. And after all, if you are going to market online, people want to know that you are the expert, that you have something to offer them more than just an ad which says, join under me, and end of story, and you never connect with those people again. They are going to want to turn to you. You are going to want to become the expert online. And if you do that, you can use this as somebody says, okay, I need your help. What do I do? I've got the perfect thing for you. And I wouldn't be telling you to do this if I didn't know that this is really what everybody needs online. They need to be able to go to one place and know what to do. And so I also wrote another book, which is on So Cool. But I think of all the books that I've written, Joe and Mabel and So Cool, Not Your Grandmother's social media site, this is the one I'm most proud of because we get so many compliments on thank you so much for putting this together because now I know where to start. And if you can give people a way to start on the net, you have increased your I don't know what the right word is. You have become an asset, let's put it that way, to the people that are on your own list or to whom you speak or market, or if you market on Facebook or Pinterest or whatever. If you can provide them with a quality product that will really help them, and we all know there are a lot of products out there that actually, don't really help you because they're too hard to understand. Not because they're bad products. I mean, there are products online that are actually really, really good, but you sort of need to be a little bit of a genius to set it up and get it all going for you. Well, this is pure and simple. This is just lists. It's other people's lists on the net, which you join. That's very easy to do. You pay or you stay free, but that's kind of useless. But you pay to upgrade. Not all at once. You do it over time. And then you use those lists yourself, but you also recommend this to other people. And it's a really good deal because you make 50% on the sale. And if you make 10 sales, by the way, which many of our members do, you earn 60% commission. You sort of become our partner. Only you earn more than we do, actually. So you're the chief partner if you make 10 sales of all your lists in one place. I highly recommend that if you haven't gotten this new version, which really has all of the well, let's put it this way. It doesn't have all the lists online, but it has many of the updated lists that are really valuable and that I've used and tested and like for one reason or another, which you'll see in here. So get your hands on this because it will help you. And it will also be an asset that you can provide to your own downloads and make money. I mean, that's, after all, there's no reason why you shouldn't make money if you recommend something to somebody. And then they will also join the lists under you that are in there, and you can earn money, commissions down the road. Now, this doesn't have to be your main focus, but all of a sudden you will find that, somebody joined whatever list, viral URL or viral nugget, because your ID is in the members area, and you've given them this book, so you've made the first commission, but you can make commissions from any of the lists that are in the book. So I've talked a long time, so let me see if you guys have any questions. If you have a microphone. Oh, I forgot. Phil reminded me. Ordinarily, when you order this new version of all your lists in one place, it comes with 1 million tokens at So Cool. And but if you're on the webinar, I really am glad to see you guys here. Um, we're going to give you 2 million if you order it tonight and you're not already a member. And what happens is you order it, you get a welcome letter, and it tells you in the welcome letter how to collect the tokens. So you can collect them anytime, That- Right, and again, as Phil reminds me, you start building a list. It's so cool. So I can't stress enough, guys. It really, the money is still in the list. I know there are many other ways that you can market, but I haven't found any that are more effective than emails. People still do go to their emails and read their emails, and they now do it on all sorts of other places other than at home on their computer. They do it all day long on the subway, on the bus. Unfortunately, people do it sometimes when they're driving a car, which is not a great idea. But people are checking their emails all day long. If it's your email in front of their noses and they like the subject line, it's going to be your sale that you make. Lists are still extraordinarily important. So build your own, use other people's lists, and be consistent. And you really will start to make money online. I guarantee you, if you stick to this and do what I'm telling you to do and do it consistently, you will begin to earn money online. So anyone with any questions, you can let Phil know if you want to come online and talk to us live and in person. If you have a microphone, let us know if you want to come online and ask. Doesn't have to be on this, could be on anything on marketing. But this is the most valuable information that you can have right now. If you have a question, let us know. Or if you don't have a mic, you can type your message your question in the chat box. We're going to end pretty shortly in just a few minutes. I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to watch the debate tonight. So we're in the political spirit here, which is why I called this webinar, Are You Debating Yourself? But it wasn't all just kind of a spoof on debating in the States. It really is that if you stop learning from other people and you keep talking to yourself, eventually you're going to run out of words to say. You need to keep learning. You need to keep expanding. Getting onto other people's lists is one way to get started. So I hope this was valuable for you. We will send out a recording for those people who couldn't make it. And Phil, is it okay if we end? I usually say, okay, good night, everyone, and somebody is right in the middle of asking the question to Phil, and I've completely ruined it. But so we will keep this open for just a couple more minutes because Phil's answering. Maybe you could tell me some of the questions if they're not personal, and then I can share them. What? When you order what? Oh, that was just somebody who wanted to buy the book. Now I like that question. Where do you order and how do you buy it? Um, wait a minute, I'll give you one more question. What? Oh no, all your lists in one place does not have a capture page. This is just a straight affiliate program, and you have to promote when you buy it and you log in, you'll get an affiliate link, and that's the link that you promote to other people. But it's not a capture page. So if you want to use some of our programs that have loosely what I call a capture page, promote SoCool. Oh my God, that is just the best way to build a list. Or Yakimore, which you also can build a list. Just type in yakimore.com, Phil, for people may not know. You may not know it. If you belong to SoCool, you also belong to Yakimore. I promote both of them. But anybody who joins SoCool also automatically is joined to our sister site, Yakimore. That also creates a list for you. So if you're interested in just getting started on getting some people who you can begin to email, do it through SoCool or do it through Yakimore, because that both of those are essentially act as capture pages for you. And you'll see it's so cool, particularly you get your own business page, which you can brand in any way you like. And so that's your sign up page, and they sign up, they're on your list, and you can, post to them every day. You can email them every 3 days if you're a silver member. But all your lists is just a straight affiliate program, where if you want to advertise it, people make a lot of money because it's very easy. It's an inexpensive product, $67. And so it's inexpensive and easy to sell, but more importantly, people really use it to support their own downlines and programs who need help. I mean, people don't come online and bring onto line and know what to do. Most of us are learning. I keep learning every day. So it's very important that you keep your list members in mind. If they ask you for help, have something ready to really help them with, something that's good, that's valuable, that they can. This is not a book that they have to read like a novel. It's not a story. I have a little introduction in there, but really it's just one list after another, but it gives you the price and the how many people and all that kind of good stuff. So somebody can buy it and they can look at it and join a couple of lists today, and a week later they can log in again and say, okay, now I'm ready to go join on this list. So it's really a tool that people keep with them all the time. Keep it on your desktop and just pop into it and see. You may have missed a list or not understood that you thought you were had joined every list that was on the net, but maybe there's a couple you didn't know about. This is a valuable asset. We've been selling it for 5 years. There are a lot of sites on the net. For example, if you own your own site, it is a really good resource tool to put in your members area. And people appreciate that. When I first came online, I didn't know whether to walk left, right, up, down. I didn't know where I was. And if I didn't have help from Phil, mostly, but then many, many other people have helped me along the way, Mike G being one of them. And if I didn't have tools to use, I'd be one of the people emailing saying, how come I never make any money online? Well, if you don't know where to start or what to do, chances are you're not going to make any money online. It's really pretty much that simple. Nobody, grows up knowing how to fly a plane. Somebody had to teach them how to fly a plane. So this is a good starter. It's not threatening to people, and Phil wants the microphone. 1 second.
Hi everyone. Just a couple of questions that came up here that I want to go through. Somebody said, do we get a capture page to market the ebook with? The answer to that is no. You market the affiliate link points to the main sales page, which Jane has been showing you. And the reason that we point it to that rather than to a capture page like a lot of other sites do is because this capture page is proven. It converts. And that's what you really want. We haven't basically we haven't changed this page for the past 3 years because it's been converting so well. And that's quite unusual for it to convert and convert and convert for that length of time. So, when you're on a good thing, you stick to it. The second question here is, I have had a number of websites built for me, but have not been able to make any money with them. Can I make money with just list building? And the answer to that is yes, and I'll tell you exactly how to do it. Always build your list first, as Jane was saying. Build a relationship with your list members so they know what to expect from you. And then sell the best stuff you can find or create to them. So one of the things as you're doing this, as you're building the list and using other lists to build it, by sending people to a capture page, you're stealing the other people's members. As you're advertising to all of these other lists and you're building your own list, once you start to build that and you start to build that relationship with your list members, then you can take the websites that you've had built for you and you can promote them to your list members. That's the way you make sales. It's very difficult when you've got a brand new site to make sales to people you have no relationship with. This is why it's critical. Okay, here comes the question again. How do you build that relationship with the list? Okay, that is an excellent question, Byron. Here's the answer. It's the same way that we've done it for the past 10 years. 13. Oh, past 13. I'm being corrected here. I've got to watch my P's and Q's here. The way you do it is when you give away to get people on the list, you've got to give them an incentive to join because there are so many things out there. So find a PLR product, which is a private label product that you can put your own name on, and give it away free. And make sure that it's a really, really good product, because what you want to do right in the beginning is to give people the best information stuff that you can give them. Don't save the best for the paying people. Give your free people, the people you want on your list, the very best you can give them. And the reason that you do that is because they're going to say, hey, this guy just gave this wonderful ebook, on building traffic to your website. And he gave it away free. I wonder what he's going to be giving me if I buy his paid course. I mean, it's got to be brilliant. If he's given this really good information away free, what's in the course? You see, what it does is it builds excitement, and it gets them into the framework of mind where they're expecting you to give them the very, very best. So they're going to look around at all these other people, and they're going to see that they're getting, mediocre stuff. They're getting some good stuff, but a lot of mediocre stuff out there, and they're going to say, I'm going to get rid of all those other lists, and I'm going to stay with this guy. This guy gives me really good stuff. And that's how you build credibility with your list. Once you build credibility and you build that relationship where people trust what you say, when you come to the point of recommending stuff to them, they will more than likely buy from you rather than from the other people. And that's what you want. It's like the little corner store that builds a relationship, right? And then the Walgreens gets built down the corner and everything. But people still go back to the little corner shop. Why? Because you build a relationship with the owner of that store. The owner's taken his time to talk to you. He's taken time to, point you to really good stuff in the shop, point you to perhaps that spaghetti sauce is really, I know what you're trying to do. I think this sauce will work better for you. It's that personal attention and that personal answering. That's how you build a list and build the relationship with it.
And by the way, I do this all the time. Many of our list members contact us personally. And, they ask us about this site or that site or the other site. And I get to know my list members, and not everything that I advertise is for everybody on my list. Our lists are very geared towards either business ops or advertising products like lists or submitters or that kind of thing. So you get to know your list, and one of the best ways to get to know who the people are on your list is ask them what they're interested in. Set up a quick survey. There are lots of free sites on the net where you can set up a really easy survey. Ask the people on your list, what are you interested in? What do you like? By the way, it's so cool, we did exactly that. We let people join in 3 areas. When anybody signs up to SoCool, they have to pick one of, I think we have about 100 categories, 112 categories that cover every conceivable targeted area that you can think of. What does that do? That lets us, if we wanted to advertise auto products, which you can get on ClickBank or whatever, we have a built-in list at so-called that we know is interested in automobile products or golf or interested in real estate or coaching or whatever it is. So that's something we learned to do over many years of developing advertising products on the net, is to actually sell something to people who actually want that product. So I have people coming to me all the time and saying, I have this fabulous course and I'd like you to review it, and then I'd like you to market it to your list. And I usually, if they're substantial people, I review it and look at it, and I love it. You know, I learn a lot from it. But over the years, I've learned, I hope nobody will take offense at this, but our list members aren't necessarily, you are the learners because you're here and you're at a webinar, but many of our people on our list just want to make money instantly, which of course doesn't happen, can't happen, and so most of them will never make any money. But I've learned that if I market a great course, and usually they're expensive, you know, $1,000, sometimes $2,500, then I'm probably not going to sell it. So ask the people on your list, what do they like? What are they interested in? And try to find products that meet their needs. It's really important that you listen to what your members are saying. And Phil is going to end this in 1 minute.
Okay, two final thoughts here. I've been talking with Byron, and he says that, you know, this stuff is an art form. So basically you cater to the list and the money will follow. And the answer to that is absolutely. And I want you to remember two things. I'm going to give you two of my favorite little quotes. One that I made up myself, and the other one that I heard a long, long time ago. Treat people as VIPs, and this is talking about your list members. Treat people as VIPs, not wallets you want to extract cash from. That's the one I made up. The second one is people buy from people with whom they feel a relationship developing. People have bought from Jane and I over the years because we're approachable. We make ourselves available to our list people. Anytime they've got a question, they know that all they've got to do is ask us, and we will respond. Not like a lot of people out on the net. A lot of people, you can't even find the contact name for them. I don't believe in that. Neither does Jane. We want to be available to all of our people so that we can point them in the right direction. And on that note, I'm going to sign off for this webinar. If you've got any questions, you can always email Jane at janemark1, the number 1, at gmail.com. And she'll get back to you with the answers to your questions. But I hope you all enjoyed the webinar, and thank you very much for coming.